I'm Orlando Jones, and I just want you to know that the Moana Nui Podcast will be starting soon. Stay tuned, yo.
I'm Veronica Taylor, and from myself and Ash Ketchum, I just want to say, Moana Nui, I choose you!
All right. Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of the Moana Nui Podcast, also being broadcast on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. network. Of course, for those that are new to the show, this segment we have once a month with Shae Reigns, LMSW. She is our we bring her in for our episode called Rain Talks. That's why we can talk about any mental health related topics and things that really affect each and every one of you, especially when we had the pandemic and everybody was stuck at home. So many of you were going through that. But Shae, for those that are new to the show, she is a clinical social worker who wants to make change in the world in her own way. She's the founder of Do More, Require Better LLC, and of course, the host of this segment, Rain Talks, on the Moana Nui podcast. And she is using these vehicles to shrink your head and expand your mind. Though most hate conversations about relationships of any sort, Shae started her hashtag 50% of the hashtag Do More Requires Better campaign to help get deeper into personal issues we all have. Um, and of course, this evening, we're going to dive in the topic that everyone is kind of talking about right now. Our topic is how taking a stand, how the writers and actors strike shines a light on self-worth and value. So I am going to go ahead and hand it over to Shae to kind of dive into this topic um, to discuss further. And of course, definitely engage into the comments as you're watching and listening to today's episode. So, Shae, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you to start the conversation.
Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. I am just really excited, of course, as always, to be here. It's always a joy to get to talk to you. And Milana whenever she is here. Um, but yeah, just kind of gonna jump in there. We had some options when we were discussing what to talk about this week, um, and or this month rather. And since this is kind of where we are in the world right now with the writer strike and the actor strike. I wanted to kind of shine a light on why we should be not just supporting the writers and the actors, but also um, really engaging in this conversation, really engaging in what's happening, because it's not just about entertainment. It's about self-worth. It's about being in your career, in your chosen field, in your job, spending often more time doing your work than you do with your family, with your friends, and getting to cultivate your so-called personal life. You spend more time at work, doing the work, whatever that work may be. And when your employers are unwilling to really show you that they value you the only way that an employer really can, which is by paying you. In some industries, they like to give out candy and pizza, and they'll feed you from now until kingdom come, but there are no races. There's no thought of actually having an equitable or a living wage. It's quite frankly, it's disgusting. And so when we're looking at an an industry, because it's not just the writers, it's the entire industry that, quite frankly, we all depend on. When we are done with our jobs, at the end of the day, what are we doing? More often than not, we come home, we sit in front of the TV, or we spend time trying to unwind from our day, usually with some form of visual and audio entertainment. We sit here, with our podcast, of course, but also, you know, we go to the movies and we watch TV shows and series, and we binge watch things that have been long gone since years prior. And these executive industry people are being straight up disrespectful to the people who we kind of depend on to keep our lives balanced. So I wanted to have this conversation so that we could really get into why it's important that we stand up with our entertainers, with our writers, with our actors, and quite frankly, anybody else who decides that they're sick of this shit and they want to get paid for it.
Hmm. So, it kind of goes to that question of like, you hear people say, "Oh, well, whether it's entertainers or yourself or things, you should be happy that you even got a chance. You should be happy you even got a job." How is that like a real detriment to the taking the stand, definitely giving that self-worth and value, um, whether it's the writer strike or just everyday life?
To put it in a more uh, individualized, personal kind of way, if your closest loved one came to you because you said that you wanted to spend time with them and they were unavailable, and their response to explain why they were unavailable was, well, you should just be happy that we're friends at all.
Mm,
You should just be happy that I choose to have you in my life at all. How would that feel? It's not, and of course, again, we're talking about money,
yeah.
not friendship, not relationships, right? But when it comes to our employers, when it comes to the place that we spend our livelihoods on, some of us, in order to get these jobs, and I shouldn't say us, let me depersonalize it. Some of these writers have spent their entire lives honing their craft, getting good at what it is that they do. Um, these actors have spent their entire lives getting good at entertaining you, at learning how to read the lines and deliver it perfectly or not so perfectly, so that, thank you, so that you can, you know, have a good day, have a good evening, right? And enjoy life. They have spent years upon years of doing these things so that they can do it well for you.
Mhm.
And it's not like these executive people aren't actually out there going and getting to um, be entertained by their employees as well. From my understanding, they go to the movies too.
Yeah.
They go and they engage in the same kinds of things with their friends and their loved ones. They have their uh, home theater systems that are actual like movie houses in their homes, right? What are they watching? They're not necessarily watching YouTube, right? They're watching the movies that they themselves help to produce. And I
Yeah.
only say help to produce because most of them are just sitting way back in the background making money off of these people who are actually doing the work. That's like getting mad at the housekeeper for wanting to get paid for cleaning your house, and he's saying, "Well, all you do is clean the house." Well, would it get done without the cleaning person?
Mm-hmm.
All you do is teach my kids. Well, would the kid get taught if the teacher wasn't there? Who
Yeah.
would have to do that job? Are
Well, we
you
saw the pandemic
all
taught
day?
that.
Exactly. Would you be there and equipped to spend that time with your kid all day? As a matter of fact, your kid and 20 other kids? Because I've seen the memes of parents out there saying, let me make sure that you understand I like my kid. All the other kids can go kick rocks. Like I've seen these memes.
Yeah.
So you think you only like your kid, you want to put your kid in a classroom with 20 other kids and then just be like, all you do is teach? Why do we need to pay you more? All you do is pick up the trash. Do you want to pick up the trash? Like, these are the questions. Like, how are we valuing people? These are the questions that we have to be asking and recognizing that it's not just about the entertainers. I was not alive for the strike that happened in New York when um, the folks who handle sanitation went on strike. I was not alive for that, but I heard about it. And I'm pretty sure they still talk about the sanitation strike when they decided they were not going to pick up the trash anymore. And in my opinion, the reason why New York is so dirty is probably because of that time, way back when, that New York City has never gotten to recover since then.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my own theory. Don't quote me on that. But it's the theory. I'm just saying, like, we do not show our anybody's the proper level of respect
Mm-hmm.
and value for what it is they do. And arguing when they want to be compensated for or more for what they do so that they can live a better life, so that they can live more comfortably, so that they can actually go out and be entertained by each other.
Yes.
That we can't support them in that because they're just entertainers. We should be ashamed if we aren't going to stand up with them.
Yeah.
When it
But
comes to the mental health elements of it, it's going to work every day
mm-hmm.
knowing that the people that you're doing the work for don't actually appreciate you.
Yeah.
You always catch me.
JD always make sure
Every
he does.
like what? All right, we got it out of the way early on. We're gonna see if you get me. That is hilarious. Yeah, it's one of those things where you want to be able to see the people who you somewhat depend on for how it is that you do your thing, what it is that helps you get through your life. You want to see those people also doing well. I love seeing my favorite actors have jobs. I remember when, and I'm terrible with names, so don't quote me, but when I saw one of the actors from back in the day on Hercules, the guy who played Hercules' best friend Iola's.
Okay.
I don't know his real name, so
Me
I
neither.
apologize, sir. Um, but years later, I saw him in something, and you would have thought this was my homie from day one. I was like, oh my God, so he got a job. Wow. I was like, so happy for him
Yeah.
to get to see him on TV and working again. Lord knows he might have been on TV and working elsewhere or on Broadway or, directing or something like that. But when I actually got to see him in that show that I, in this moment, can't remember, but I saw him and I was so excited to
Yeah.
see that he had gotten another job. Or anytime I see, and I'm going to butcher her name, Elisa Dushku, uh, Faith from Buffy and Angel.
Oh.
She was the other Slayer who got to live.
Oh, gotcha.
I'll,
Okay.
I'll put it like
I
that.
don't know
So
her real name either,
her,
but I know who you're talking about.
yeah. So Elisa Dushku is her real name. I'm just probably saying it wrong. Could be Eliza. Anyway, Eliza. Uh, but yeah, whenever I see her getting to act in something, I get excited because
Mm,
she's been acting since she was a kid. One of the first things I saw her in as a child was Die Hard.
yes.
She was the kid who ran up to what's his name and was like, "You lady," talking to the reporter um in Die Hard at the end of the movie. She was his daughter. So yeah, she's been acting for a really long time. So every time, yep, was she in that too? I'll take that. So she's
Yeah.
been acting
I
since
was
she
gonna
was a
take
kid.
it, JD. True
So getting to
life.
see her, so when I see her getting to have jobs, I get excited. I'm like, go ahead, yo. She just, she was also in a show called True Calling. Now that you mentioned True Lies, which was very short lived and entertaining,
Hmm.
which it lasted longer. Dollhouse. She's been in a lot of
Oh,
stuff.
yes.
So
Dollhouse was so good.
yes, and so I get to be excited when I see them working, and I
Yes.
know that when we see some of our favorite actors, whether they're from Lord of the Rings or you know, because I'm trying to remember older things, Harry Potter's and all that, getting to watch our favorite actors grow up. It's wonderful to get to see them working, but we only
Yes.
get to see them working because they're in front of the camera. Think about
Hmm.
how many people throughout their entire acting careers have been writing for them and helping them give us reasons to be excited.
Yeah.
It's so important to be able to say or to look at what it is that you do as a creator of any kind or as a performer of any kind or as a clinician or as uh, I don't know, as a homemaker even. I have clients who the reason why they're in therapy is because they feel like their family doesn't value them. And they can
Hmm.
go down a list of all the different ways that they have proof they are not valued.
Yeah.
I can pick up 16 different memes and conversations posted by men on social media about all the ways that men aren't valued in this.
Hmm.
And so when you can look at a set of people, actors, writers, who are saying, how you can show that you value me? Pay me some more. And the people who control the purse strings are like, when they are literally making hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of
Millions. Yeah.
dollars because of their talents. Okay, let me reel that back. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right picture. Creator says, pay us more. And a group of people who are making millions of dollars are saying, nah,
Yep. We'd rather pay you pennies on the dollar.
so that we can keep our millions. That's basically what they're saying.
Hmm.
Now think about the corporation that you work for. How many millions are the people up there, over your head making while you are living paycheck to paycheck?
Hmm.
Do you feel valued when you go into work? I mean, okay, I'm a therapist. I love what I do. My clients value me regularly. So to this, technically, I can't speak today. But once upon a time, I worked at a call center. Once upon a time, I was a personal assistant. Once upon a time, I was an executive assistant. Once upon a time, I used to write um, or help write mortgages. I've lived a lot of lives.
Yes.
And I can tell you that one of the biggest things that kept me from staying in all of those fields was being undervalued, overworked, and undervalued.
Hmm.
These writers work day in and day out. I'll take it to the nerd land because I've heard like animators and the writers for anime or the game creators. You want to know why um, some of your favorite games take forever to come out?
Yeah.
Those people aren't making trillions,
Hmm.
but the heads of EA Sports or let me reel that in because I probably shouldn't be naming actual corporation names, right? It's probably not a good thing. But the point I'm making here, because they're not paying to be mentioned here, is that these companies are not paying their animators enough. And the animators especially, and the writers of anime and manga, literally lock themselves in so that they can create for us, for our viewing and playing pleasure. They don't get their due. And they get blamed all along the way for how long it takes for the game to come out or how long it takes for the next season of the anime to come out. I'm desperately waiting for one of my favorite video games to come out now for damn near 10 years. I'm not bitter. Um, I'm not complaining in this mode because I know now that the reason why it's taking so long is because production and these companies, they don't value their people.
Hmm.
And the more we do not stand with these people, the less they are required or feel required to do better or to do more
Yeah.
and require better.
Exactly. JD hit a really good point. It's like to anyone saying actors are overpaid already, keep in mind the window of opportunity for any actor is very small, very small. Studios use and abuse them and then determine they're no longer um, hot or too old to use anymore. And that's sometimes when we see a gap of not seeing somebody for a while because they're not being valued. And then all of a sudden, okay, we'll bring you back in as the grandma, even though you're
Right.
like 30 years old, you'll be the grandma or um, some other role that is
Mhm.
focused in
That might as well be in
ageism.
the background.
Yeah. But I'm glad you
Where
brought
you
about the
go from
animators because there's so many articles that I've been seeing lately of like animators passing and things like that because they were overworked. You find out like they're working, you know, these shifts of, to
19,
get
20
these
hours a day trying to do it. Yes.
yes, and they're trying to get these animations out along with these writers trying to write these things, especially during the pandemic, that these
Hmm.
um, studios were depending on us streaming because we're stuck at home. So they're forcing them to write stuff that is not typically their quality of work, but just to get it out quickly.
So something.
and that way they can have something out by next week. And just was making them churn out all this stuff to for us to consume while we were stuck at home.
For the sake of entertainment that supposedly isn't that important.
Mm,
But quite frankly, we would not live without.
yes. I mean, what
Remember,
so many people saying how if we didn't have streaming available, how they couldn't would have been able to make it through the pandemic, especially those that were in California that was stuck at home, and people in New York for over a year. Unlike some states that was only closed for a month and then they reopened, but that's another show. Um, but it was one of those that people kept their sanity in a way, and felt still connected because of the stuff on our computers, on our TVs, all these elements, whether it's webtoons, Netflix, Paramount, you know, formerly known as HBO Max, now Max Plus. Um, all of these things
HBO
popped up. We
Cinemax.
have more streaming services popped up in the last 3 years than we had before because of the pandemic and our need of consumption.
Because what else would we do other than entertain ourselves? What are we
Mhm.
going to do with these children who are at home? God forbid we actually talk to them. Sorry, that's a personal gripe of mine. Um, thanks, JD.
It's been a minute. JD's like, I had these in the holster. I'm ready. I'm ready. It's been a minute
Right,
since I got Shae.
let's fire. Let's go. Um, yes. Shout out to the adult stars out there. No shame to sex workers.
Yes,
Uh,
they've been
all
keeping people
respect.
entertained for thousands of years.
That's right. Oldest occupation that there is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, this is my personal gripe about kids because across the board, one of the biggest complaints, because I work with children and families, from children is that their parents won't talk to them.
Mm.
All of these problems would be solved if they could actually have a conversation with their parents.
Yep.
Their parents are more willing to punish, they are willing to put them out, to um, they're willing to call me, get a therapist. I have well, they're not my direct clients, but there's a family whose parental guardian is only just willing to allow the therapist to come into the home, uh, and would rather spend her time or spend their time, because it's a family, spend their time yelling at the kids and not giving, like, not communicating. They just bark orders and then get mad when the kid is just like, I don't understand.
Mm.
One of my mom Roxy's rules is you should never expect someone to know something that you didn't teach them yourself,
Yeah.
especially when it's kids. And so, yeah, we have to be willing to look at how it is that we value each other. How is it that we are showing that not necessarily just that we care, but that we actually value the services that we provide each other? Your mechanic makes it so that you can go to work and get home every day if you drive. The train person, what is it called? Train conductor? Yes, conductors.
Engineer. Oh.
I'm going to go with conductors.
Okay.
Train conductors, okay? The bus drivers, um, the ferry people. You definitely don't drive a boat. Not sure about that one. But because there are folks out there who live in places where you have to get on a ferry in order to be able to get to where it is the metropolitan area is that works. Um, it takes all kinds, down to your fast food, as to not mention their names,
Yeah.
down to your fast food workers. Those nights where you don't feel like cooking, they are doing a service for you so that you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
You are not just paying for the food, you are paying to not have to do that yourself. Say thank you, because those workers definitely aren't getting paid enough to deal with your attitude at the end of the day.
Yes. And the fact that so many people were kind of up in arms with the fast food industry workers asking to get paid minimum $15 an hour. And people were just like,
So that
that's
they could pay
ridiculous,
rent.
all that kind of stuff. But I'm like, have you tried to work their job? Have you dealt with yourself before?
Have you met you?
E- Exactly.
Right? As a matter of fact, have you met you when you have your kids and your kids' teams in the back seat, or your homies and three of their friends trying to order six different things, and you're just like, okay, wait, can can I cancel that and just get a Coke?
Yeah.
And like
But
have you met you before?
yeah. And like, and especially if they don't respond the way they want you them to respond. Oh, that person is just rude. Well, I just ordered from the same
Mhm.
person and she was fine. Maybe it's you.
Service with a smile. Did you say thank you? Did
Mm-hmm.
you say please? Did you use any of those basic common courtesy things in addition to giving your payment respectfully and not just shoving it in their face when you get to the window? Like, how are you treating the people who are actually saving you from hours of labor in your house,
Mm-hmm.
or hours of whining from your kids, or whatever it is that you are avoiding doing so that you go and you use that other service? I don't know about you, but I don't want to be a brain surgeon. I don't like the sight of blood. I don't want to be a doctor of any kind because people and things are gross, and I don't want to have to deal with other people's body fluids.
Yeah.
Did you say thank you to your doctor after you got your pap smear? Shout out to my best friend who is a doctor.
Yeah.
The horror stories, okay?
Ugh, no.
That
Yes.
time where somebody was sick and they coughed in the doctor's face, one of those wet, nasty coughs.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is a child projectile. Projectile.
Right.
Not coughing.
Mhm. Or the
Yes.
CNA who has to clean up after your grandmother's poop
Yeah.
and deal with your grandmother trying to beat them up with their cane, or
Yeah.
calling them all kinds of racial epithets, or just
Yes.
being generally rude and horrible people because they're old and they don't care anymore. Shout
Mm-hmm.
out to all the old people. All those old people out there who got their I don't give a fuck licenses when they turned 60 and
Yeah.
decided
Some
I'm
of them
just
start
out
at
here and
50.
according to Oprah, started at 50, well, at 40, but we won't go there, right? And the whole point is that it takes all kinds, it requires all of us to be able to serve each other and to value each other. There's no job on this planet that wasn't created because there was a need for it. Every job that's out there is because someone needed that place to be filled, and there are things that the rest of us don't want to have to do. So, in order to do the things that we do,
Farming.
right? Okay, in order to do things that we need these other people to do what they do. And we
Yes.
need to be appreciative of the fact
Mm-hmm.
that we don't have to find a way to carry our trash at least twice a week to the city dump.
Yes.
We need to appreciate the fact that we don't have to find a way to conduct surgery on our dog, who we love dearly, but we don't have to cut into Fido ourselves because there's a vet out there,
Yeah.
right? That we don't have to spend however long it takes somebody to learn how to braid, because I sure as hell can't, so that we can get our hair done. Your braids look great, by the way.
Thank you.
Okay. This shirt that I wear, whatever sweatshop it was made in, I think all the hands that went into making sure that my blazer could be here and that my t-shirt could be here so that I wouldn't be sitting in front of you guys naked. Whoever it is that makes my lip gloss and my eyeshadow and my face makeup and all of that kind of stuff, I am grateful to them all the time because they gave me tools to play with my face with. Thank you.
Mhm.
And everybody in between who helps them do what they do. Because the rocket science wouldn't be a rocket science, wouldn't be a rocket scientist without the person who made instant noodles and easy math. Thank you, Jelani. Shout out to
Mhm.
all my fellow social workers out there, and this one in particular. It is just so important to recognize that we all need and help each other. These actors, these writers are doing a service so that we can be able to go home and have something to do that doesn't involve more work.
Yes. Allow you to disassociate.
I'm going to choose a different word just because that was really clinical and can be leading into other things. And I'm
Yeah.
going to say it gives us the way to decompress.
Yes. Yes.
Decom- Disassociating isn't always good, but decompressing it.
Yes.
Um, Being able to decompress from the day and look at how it is that other people are living because we've got this show that makes life look a whole lot different. Recently watched a show on Netflix um, about doctors, New Amsterdam. Phenomenal
Mm-hmm.
show. Made me feel great to be a therapist. Strongly suggest everybody watch it.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix, or at least it was um, last month, and
If you
it
still have it, because I know a lot
shines a
of y'all are
light.
canceling as subscriptions.
Well, there's so many different ways to get to watch things these days. It's just, not promoting piracy or anything, but there's several different ways to watch things.
Yes.
Um, but it was a great show to binge watch for about a month when I would come home after being a therapist all day and
Hmm.
helping homeless people all day and helping children and families all evening. Decompress.
Yeah.
That's what writers help us do. That's what actors help us do. That's what our support will allow them to be able to do when they're not doing what they do for us.
Yeah. It's that someone put it said it very well. It's that first world um privilege that we have yet to acknowledge, that we have this privilege. We don't realize our privilege of access to all these different things that typically could, not only with the writers and actors protesting, if animators if animators protest and stop doing their stuff, parents, I bet y'all be the first ones to go to these companies because you're like, my baby can't watch their show, can't watch Bluey,
Mhm.
and the
Because
writer's
I
not
know
writing for
we
Bluey
don't
too.
want them to be watching. We don't want them watching our grown up stuff.
Mm-hmm. But this all affects that. And we know a lot of times that is the way for you to disconnect to allow your little ones to watch whatever show or their show they like to watch, especially you're on the road or traveling. But if they were part of this strike too, and Disney for kids no longer had stuff for them to watch, Nick kids don't have stuff for them to watch. How would you have the same energy as you're having towards this writer and actor strike if that happens?
Would you have that same
Because now you
energy?
have to spend
Yes.
more time with your kids.
'Cause you sure couldn't do it during the pandemic, and it wasn't even necessarily you having to spend more time with your kids as much as I don't know how to do with this school stuff is what I heard the most.
Oh yes.
This new math,
Mm-hmm.
why there's new math is still beyond me. I will never understand that. But okay, there's new math,
Yes.
and all of this, my entire generation and before is like, this is trash.
Yeah. Because the math we had before worked just fine.
It works fine. And now I definitely feel like one of those people who just like, listen, that's what calculators are for.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to do long division since undergrad. Like, does anybody even know what to do with the remainder anymore? We don't need math. We really don't. Shout out to all the math teachers out there. Miss Pearson, Mr. Golia, Miss Austin. Those are all of my math teachers in junior
Yes.
high school.
Just trust me.
Mr. Dr. Lucas, high school. Sorry, definitely could not honorable mention that one.
Yeah, because it's one of those, like you said, with the teachers, a lot, there are subjects we all like, why are we learning this? But math is one of those, like, when the calculator doesn't work, when your computer's not working, when your phone isn't working to use, what do you do? I have seen people literally, you would have thought a
I pull out the
four
abacus.
zero blue screen just happened in their head because they had no access to anything to calculate it. And they were like,
Yep.
and they didn't
404 error code.
exactly
No
like Mitch McConnell.
error does not compute.
I'm sorry. I I know that's a whole politic thing, but yeah. You literally have that same look of like, but all these things have a root cause or a root purpose. And, you know, because of those people getting inspired by their English teachers or literary works of the past, they became our writers of today, or they saw the lack in those books and shows that they created the stuff we have today to bring more diversity, bring more voices, more looks and feels, more genres to us, um, from music to, um, like you said, shows, movies, animation, anime, mangas, Broadway shows, all of them. It's
Underpaid,
crazy.
overworked teacher.
Exactly. Because I love the fact that they're a lot of them are breaking the misconceived notion of not sharing paychecks or information like that, because that's kind of always been this rule of thumb within the corporate world. You can't talk about
Mm-hmm.
your pay.
Talk about how much you're making.
Yeah.
It's rude.
But these actors are showing us their residual pay that, hey, this popular show that's number one on Netflix for the last 10 years been streaming there, and I get 34 cents a quarter from them as my pay.
What do you buy with 34 cents?
Exactly. And I don't know how many people follow Dante Bosco on his TikToks, but he does this right. Well, right now he's protesting with the other writers and stuff. Him and his fiance, but he would do this thing once a month called residual check lottery, and he will get one of the random envelopes. He'll get, open it up, tell explain what show or what this was tied to that he's getting a check. And based on the amount, he was like, that'll determine if I get Taco Bell tonight. Is this going to allow me to get some sushi tonight? Or is this going to give me this? But seeing the dollar amounts or lack of dollars that he gets for certain things, it's just like, sir, you're Dante Bosco. Why?
Do you have
You only got $3 for this? Mm-mm. He's like, and he'd be like, when he says, "All right, this is $3.50. Looks like I'm going to Taco Bell." But
it's funny, but not funny.
exactly. But it's kind of like the same time, it's like it's eye-opening that he's doing that before the strike even happened to kind of make you realize everybody is familiar with his name, whether you know him as Prince Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender, where you know him as Rufio from Hook, and then several other shows and movies. But you're kind of
He's
like,
done so much work over the years.
exactly. But you're like, you got $3 from that being on that show?
Rufio isn't even his first.
Thank you.
It's like his first role. He's been in the industry forever.
Yes, for some
I
decades.
love seeing him get.
But him get, he was the first. I was seeing this, and now the strike, I'm seeing more people showing these residual checks, and it's like it's bonkers, especially when you know it's something that it's in, you know they're constantly playing it. This series is, got picked up and it's being, reshown over and over again, but you're only getting
Mhm.
$3 for being on that show?
Right. Avatar: The Last Airbender is um it's on Netflix. I believe it's still also on Hulu. It's still being played on regular uh Nickelodeon.
Yes.
It's still being played. It's like on regular TV, well,
Yeah.
cable TV, I guess it's a cable TV channel. And I believe Nickelodeon now has their own streaming channel, right?
Yep.
So there's no shortage of different ways that people are getting to watch or
Yeah.
hear
But the problem
his
is, like,
accuracy.
the current things is like, hey, if it's residuals on regular TV, you got your set pay scale for that. But the
Hmm.
streaming part, you don't. And that's where you're hearing the $3, the
Hmm.
32 cents over here, because even though it's being streamed in all these different places, they're not getting the money that they should be getting from it showing in all these places. So,
And I forgot before we run out of time, because it is so important to mention the ultimate disrespect that our writers and actors and voiceover folks are getting. Ultimate disrespect. Take off your white glove and slap a millionaire in the face level disrespect.
yes.
You want to replace them with AI?
Mm,
You're not willing to protect these people
yes.
who are delivering a quality service. You want to be, because that's what the battle, in my opinion, that's what the crux of it
Mm,
is. It's not only do we not want to pay you your due now, but we want
yes.
to take your likeness. We want to take
Hmm.
your voice. We want to take
Without your
your
permission.
personhood, and we want to be able to use it for all of eternity without your having to do anything else after a while. Once we perfect this technology, we won't need you at all. So no, not only are we
Yep.
not paying you today, but we're not going to pay you for your shit later either.
Yes.
So we'll just wait.
And it hasn't started with AI. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it because I know it's been, going back around since it's the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers, that the gentleman who played Zordon, David Feldman, they only had him come in a couple times, did some filming, and he was in Power Rangers for seasons, but never got paid for any of that. They just took
That's
what they
insane.
wanted
I was not
and
familiar.
reused it however they wanted, pieced together phrases, audio over his image, but didn't get paid for it. And it's just like, how in the world? Like, we're sitting there as kids watching season after season. Power Rangers, look at Zordon, Zordon, and it's just like, what? He only got paid $1,000
Right. That part.
for
The
everything,
one time.
and that's it. It's just like, okay. But it here, so this is not a new thing. AI is just a new tool for them to be able to take it to another level.
To be able to take advantage.
Hmm.
Like, I wanted to make sure that I made that point because that was a big part. I actually said I was going to end up spending a lot more time on that because, like I said, it is take off your white glove, you slap a millionaire in the face level disrespectful
Yeah,
because, or in some places, take off your shoe and throw it at them. Level of disrespect because how dare they? And
yeah.
actually say that with a straight face.
It
Um,
is definitely one of
can I
those
take
that
one
this
minute
is
to
the
run away because my
hmm
laptop apparently is about to die. Keep
oh
talking.
gosh. Okay. But it's definitely one of those example of when the bad side, because I know a lot of people have been in debates with about AI. AI have some good aspects that it helps people with, but this is starts happening to that bad side of AI that gives technology, a bad name when something, especially when you find out like it was, if it was originally designed for helping X, Y, and Z, which is supposed to help us, but then someone finds a way, hey, I can use for this, and that way it can cut corners, then it's being used for this bad side of for the technology. And it's just, it's one of those that continues to be a double-edged sword with the things we do, like even streaming. Streaming came to be a convenience for us versus going to get DVDs or rentals and stuff. Netflix started the whole, streaming aspect, blowing that up, and then everybody wanted to, get that money that Netflix is making. So I'm gonna create my streaming channel. I'm gonna create my streaming channel, my streaming stuff for my, studio. And but then they're cutting corners on everything because as long as us consumers are oblivious and unaware, as long as we're consuming it and not being aware of what's happening, regarding that and not caring about what's happening, it's going to continue happening. The problem, only time these things tend to get a little better is when things like this, the strike, it becomes public eye. Because years ago, a lot of people may not have heard of certain strikes because they were able to keep it quiet because it was known in that state. But if you're in Georgia or if you're in California, you may not have heard about it because it never spread to your state because and you're oblivious. But now social media and online presence make sure that it isn't. And that's also another issue of like trying to suppress a lot of things. A lot of these companies are trying to suppress sharing of certain information, using AI and programming, saying, "Oh well, we're trying to do that for misinformation or X, Y, Z." But a lot of it is like, no, that this is not coming from that. That is your purposely silencing Black and femme voices. So, like I
Therefore,
said,
there was relatively recently an argument made in the music industry
Mm.
because I want to say, was it Biggie? It was a Biggie or Tupac, where apparently somebody was making a whole album like of so-called new Biggie or new Tupac music. And we're not talking about like what they were doing like a decade ago where it's stuff that they hadn't released. No,
Yeah,
this is brand new stuff that was
using AI,
AI created
using their voices.
using AI to basically string words together and unfortunately, in some cases, it actually sounds good. So it's just like, what are we doing here, right? Where we have, you know, people in the hip hop industry or singers, you know, Mary J. Shout out to Mary J. Um, one of the most iconic voices that we have today is as iconic as she is because she is a human being with human being experiences, and it came through the soul of her voice.
Hmm.
And we think we're gonna get that out of a computer?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my new laptop. I love my cell phone. I love my dishwasher. No, no, I love my dishwasher. I love my dishwasher. My dishwasher. Whew,
Be putting some work in.
okay, all right. But can it do my job?
Yeah.
Can it sing a soulful song that connects me to other human beings that can make me feel not so alone?
Hmm.
Can it play an instrument to the point of being able to reach into the depths of my soul with no words at all, just so that I can feel the music?
Yes.
Beethoven was deaf and was able to write symphonies.
Hmm.
We can't we can't take the human out of humanity.
Yeah.
And art is a very specifically human thing that we need. It is one of the things that connects us to each other.
Yes.
It is one of the things that helps us identify with each other. It is one of the great equalizers. People stop being racist over hip hop. Granted, they also continue being racist over it, but we'll get past that. There's hip hop all over the world. Mary J is famous all over the world. Sting, famous all over the world. Michael Jackson, all over the world.
Hmm.
Our art unifies us. We will forgive all kinds of things, down to R. Kelly marrying a child and pissing on somebody's daughter because the music was good. I gotta say it.
Hmm.
We will forgive atrocities for our art. Bill Cosby raped how many people, but he was funny,
And
probably
gave us
because of
all
the
these
writer.
shows.
Probably because or seven. Okay, he had writers on deck to make sure that he could deliver his laugh while being a rapist. We will forgive all kinds of things for our art. Why are we not willing to stand by our artists to make sure that they can get paid when they're not being scumbags?
Hmm. The ones that are actually doing
When they're
some
not
good in
being
the world.
scumbags. Gotta
There's some
throw that
bad,
part
but
out there.
no, they're not. They're not on the strike line though.
Okay, let's stand by our artists, not just so that they can continue entertaining us when they're in the wrong, but so that they can actually live good lives when they're in the right.
Yes.
That's what valuing each other and those who are out there fighting for theirs is all about. If you truly value your standard of living, if you like being able to, right, if you like being able to go home and turn on your favorite movie or turn on your favorite TV show or your favorite streaming service, which by the way, I'm fairly certain it's going to come out eventually that a lot of these streaming services are probably a part of the problem. So
Mm-hmm.
let me make sure I say that now, right? If you want to be able to continue enjoying entertainment the way how we enjoy entertainment, we need to make sure that we are showing those people who entertain us that they are valued by us in more ways than just our clicks and our follows and our criticism in the magazines and our vitriol when they fuck up and our support when they do things that we like. We need to support them so that they can continue living lives that they enjoy, which takes money.
Yes.
Make their employers pay them
Yep.
because we pay to see these things. We're paying for our entertainment. We want our money to go where we want our money to actually go. I
Yes.
don't care about the millionaire on top. I want to make sure that my favorite actors and my favorite artists are actually getting appropriate residual um, checks, not $3
Yeah.
for entertaining me for the last many years of my life.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, yes. Jelani said that is definitely a go back to buying CDs, DVDs, VHSs.
I remember the VHS. I don't even have
But
a VHS player anymore.
yes, but definitely the DVDs, Blu-rays, H, I think it's HD DVDs, whatever they are. But definitely do that. We're
Many discs.
definitely that way that is still going through the normal revenue stream that they can get their allocations like they should, but they still need to get paid more than what they were when we were getting the CDs and DVDs. And with that, of course, um, you know, we are past the top of the hour. We want to thank all of you for joining us, engaging in the comments. For those that are watching this on the recording, definitely engage in the comments. Um, we definitely want to hear from you of like topics um that you think is something you want to hear Shae talk about, as whether it's dealing with mental health, dealing with things that impact our mental health, things like this with the people who create the content to keep us sane in a way, and keeping us entertained. These type of topics we want to bring to you that and have you
It's
engage,
important
and
to
that way
you.
we can talk about and ask questions that helps with the engagement too. But thank you everybody for tuning in. Definitely tune back in at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We'll have our next episode with our Moana Nui After Dark panel. They'll be talking about the Disney Plus Marvel Studios series Secret Invasion. So definitely tune in
Looking
to
forward
us
to
in a few minutes, so you can hear our panel discuss about that particular series, and engage with us in the comments as we dive in deep about the series that is on Disney Plus. If you haven't watched it, hold off. Save the episode on YouTube so you can watch it later after you finish all those episodes. But with that, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Y'all have a great evening, and we'll see you at 8:30 p.m. Eastern this evening. Have a great one, y'all.
So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will.
If this the land of the free, it was a freedom then, when they annexed Hawaii and called it Cedar Lands, without any type of payment and no signing off. Called themselves the Republic in 1894. 1.2 million acres overtaken from the native Hawaiians. When they resisted, the West retaliated in violence and erasure. The Hawaiian language is banned as part of colonialism's plan to expand, yeah.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.
So if we put Hawaii into perspective, well, Black and Asian history is interconnected. Considering the fight with the Pacific, then of course versus Asia, they was treated as a middleman for war, but didn't let the Western colorism run its course. Cause dark skin was a sign of dignity to core. The land was taken in the name of capitalism, when prior to it was an actual kingdom. Clap back at the system.
Stuck between a rock and a hard place. Multiple bombings of Kaho'olawe as a part of their ongoing war with Asia. Used it as a place for target practice. No consent or compensation. Colonizers call for annexation. No work out for all the locals. School will never let you know. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. So many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. Too many stories left to tell, even if we have to ourselves. Can't keep history on the shelf. If we won't tell it, we will. We will.